a special through Christmas. You can get basically close to half a year free. It's 5.3 months free, or 44% off when you sign up for a year. We've got some other specials right now, too, at PrisonPlanet.tv. Okay, let's accelerate into the news here. No indication Iran shot down U.S. drone. That was the news yesterday out of Sky Television, Reuters, and others. Has a 90-foot wingspan, $6 million. They're also having their different bases bombed over there. So this is probably a weaponized drone. And the Iranians have it. They're threatening to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. That'll send oil to $200 a barrel. That's about $7 a gallon there at the gas pump. Just absolutely incredible. But now the Pentagon's come out and says, okay, looks like they do have the drone. So Iran has put up with a lot. I'm not saying they're great. Most governments are corrupt. My point is, we don't want World War III with these people. Now, I want to shift gears and look at the real enemy of this country. This is a Senator J. Rockefeller quote from more than 15 years ago. And Senator J. Rockefeller, the head of the Rockefeller dynasty now, David's passed the baton to him, quips about world domination, Bilderberg Trilateral Commission, and rule by the rich. He's so funny he forgot to laugh, Lou Rockwell writes. LouRockwell.com writes, by the way, no wonder Pat Buchanan doesn't support Austrian economics. And this is a roast for Pat Buchanan by J. Rockefeller. The full video and the full date and everything is at INFOWARS.com. But everything he's saying is actually true here, but they make it a joke. And look at how 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you got laughed at for this stuff. Now it's mainline news. They were stalling you until they thought it was too late. Let's go ahead and go to this clip.
But he'd have to shake a label that gets assigned to people like Pat who run for the presidency, and that is that he's a tool of the rich. I personally like that very much. My father told me that's the way the system is meant to work. You know, I think Pat's coming quickly. Soon, I think he's going to be in a position for the Trilateral Commission. And if he shows promise beyond that, there's Bilderberg. World control, Pat. Settle for nothing else.
All right. And again, I'm going to dig out the date of that because I had it on a printout, but I want to give you the actual date of that. We've got it again at InfoWars.com in the hot news section. You can, 1991. So October 19th, 1991 is the date of that, right when George Herbert Walker Bush was calling for a new world order and out of these troubled times, how the great transformation would take place. Great job getting that up, guys. Now, I wanted to play Olympia Snow because both these senators voted last Thursday to have the military on the streets of America and secretly arrest you and your family anytime they want and throw you in a dungeon or even kill you. And Obama came out and said, I'm going to veto that bill because I don't need congressional approval. I can do that on my own, including killing citizens. And that was hailed by the ACLU as, oh, how democratic. Only the Fuhrer can kill people for no reason. Let's go ahead and go to Senator Olympia Snow, another traitor, called for a new world order back in 1996, and she thought it was real funny. Here it is.
That in this day and age when we need a new world order when it comes to our own State Department related agencies, we have to reorganize. And it's important to have a unified, singular voice when it comes to delivering our foreign policy. And that was the basic intent of this agency consolidation. But we have met resistance at every step of the way by the administration.
And you've gotten what you wanted. You've gotten your consolidation. Now the government can deal the drugs and launder the money properly, federalize the police, launch all these illegal wars. America is now known as an engine of total wickedness and danger and Hitlerian pain. Just incredible. Yeah, the checks and balances, separation of powers is what the founders called for. You call for something else, don't you? Because it's not our country, it's you criminals' country. Now, continuing, U.S. evacuates Pakistan air base. At least they're saying they're getting ready to evacuate it after bombing and killing a bunch of Pakistani military people. Again, very, very dangerous escalation worldwide with these drones flying around, killing people. And the Russians have moved ships into the Mediterranean. They're off Syria. Also, there's a big London Guardian reporting that revealing the true cost of Christmas toys we buy from China's factories, late wages, and fines for using the toilet. They work up to 140 hours of overtime a month, were paid up to a month late, claimed they were expected to work with dangerous tools and machines without training or safety measures, had to work in silence, and were fined up to £5 or about $8 for going to the toilet without permission. And again, we're competing with all of this, with all the regulations they put on us to shut us down because the globalists have all moved to China. And it doesn't raise up the Chinese people. It's a race to the bottom. Mexico can't even keep factories now because they're all going to China. And they had to put suicide nets up around most of their factories. It's that bad. By the way, no child welfare taking your kids there. Many of them chain their children. This is in mainstream news, to light poles outside the factories all day, and the children get one meal if they're lucky. Sometimes go days, so the children are chained outside, defecating on the ground. There's some incredible online photos of it, like dogs. And that's what we're competing with. It's just unbelievable. Talk about the big sucking sound. Meanwhile, the Weekly Standard reports big business sides with Iran. In a letter, the USA engaged director states, given the reported announcement intent of sanctions and amendments to target Iran's crude oil sales in the world market, the adverse effects on the world economy and on vital U.S. interests could be considerable. Such hasty, draconian, unilateral legislation would be ill-advised. And now they're threatening. And by the way, this is cutting China's oil off, which is basically an act of war. That's what the Japanese ended up attacking us in World War II, because we cut off their oil. Very, very serious, and will drive up prices here. But the globalists don't care. So what? They're selling the oil. Continuing, the Chinese situation, again, is really escalating. Oh, look, they found a photo of it. There is the child chained up to the light pole. And that's daycare in China. You think you're going to compete with that? No. Our standard will be lowered to that. The Chinese will not be lifted up unless they're Communist Party insiders, all part of this parasitic activity. Okay, continuing. The Tokyo Electric Power Company says radioactive water may have leaked into the sea. That's been known for 6-8 months. So just they're now telling us the obvious there. And it's all drifting towards the United States, of course. In fact, the first radioactive isotopes from the water, from the ocean, actually hit just a few weeks ago, and all that debris. But they're telling people in California and Oregon and Washington, don't worry about it, it's good for you. Also, protesters march against bill that could designate them as terrorists, exercising First Amendment defined as low-level terrorism by the DOD, and we have those documents in this PrisonPlanet.com and INFOWARS.com article by Paul Joseph Watson, the actual memos where protesting is now an act of terrorism. Continuing, I wanted to get into this because remember the Pokemon TV show a decade ago caused seizures all over the world? Some cases, thousands of kids. Sometimes they would fall down and bust their head open and die on the spot. This is because the flicker rate of televisions it's not that it can. It always puts you into a highly suggestible state, as Darren McBreen's report a few weeks ago showed. But a lot of times it actually lowers you into an actual dream state. You're sleepwalking. And there's an article here out of the Vancouver Sun. Rash of twilight-induced seizures prompts warning at the beginning of the film because of some of the sequences they have, the flicker rate. And again, they figured this out 60, 70 years ago. I've been at the University of Texas psychology department, was shown secret stuff by an insider years ago that I covered, where they have monkeys with wires in their brains who sit there and they test flicker rates on them to make them more highly suggestible, and they euthanize them afterwards. So when you're watching television, especially broadcast TV, especially high-def TV, it's no joke, folks, what they can do with that. Okay, continuing here, I wanted to end the transmission with something interesting. Woolly mammoth to be brought back to life from cloned bone marrow within 5 years. Scientists believe it may be possible to clone a woolly mammoth within 5 years after finding well-preserved marrow in the thigh bone recovered from permafrost soil in Siberia, Russia. Very, very interesting, and they're talking about trying to do it with some of the prehistoric dinosaurs because they may be able to have new technologies they're developing to be able to uncrystallize fossilized DNA and then rebuild it and do it. But what kind of ancient viruses or other microplasms could this release? What can releasing genetically modified insects and mosquitoes do? What has GMO crops already done, especially when those directing this build Trojan horses into the vaccines and GMO foods? But it is amazing and very, very interesting. All right, great job to the crew. That's it for this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. Lord willing, we'll be back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central. The system more and more wants to censor this information because we're actually having effect. So please don't forget that we are listener supported. Even if you don't become a subscriber at PrisonPlanet.tv to see it first, and almost 9 years of films and material that are posted at PrisonPlanet.tv, you can certainly spread the word about InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com and pay forward this information. All right, great job of the crew. I'm Alex Jones signing off from the front lines of the InfoWar. Until tomorrow, vaya con Dios.
What's up with these sorry politicians? Lots of bark. When it's showtime, whimpering like little shih tzus. You want big cuts. Ron Paul's been screaming it for years. Budget crisis? No problem. Got $1 trillion year one. That's trillion with a T. Department of Education? Gone. Interior, Energy, HUD, Commerce? Gone. Later, bureaucrats. That's how Ron Paul rolls. Want to drain the swamp? Ron Paul. Do it.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.